Hi, and welcome to Observing a Human Zoo Implementation of a Person-Centered Care Intervention in a Global Pandemic. My name is Miranda Corpora, and I'm a first-year PhD student in social gerontology here at Miami. My co-researchers and co-authors on this project are Megan Kelly, Cameron Kassler, Becca Sinfio, and Alex Hepner. Our faculty advisor was Dr. Katie Abbott. As the name alludes to, the purpose of this study was to assess the implementation of a novel person-centered care communication tool in Tennessee nursing homes. Person-centered care, or PCC, is a philosophy that seeks to understand individual preferences, goals, and values, and to honor them throughout the care delivery process. Integration of preferences can be important for nursing home providers to improve health, well-being, and quality of life. However, there are barriers to implementing person-centered care. Providers need techniques to properly implement and measure preferences. Additionally, it can be difficult to communicate preferences across all relevant staff, such as different departments and shifts. With those barriers in mind, the solution created which guided this project is called the Preference for Activities and Leisure Cards, or PAL cards for short. PAL cards are personalized 5x7 laminated cards that reflect a resident's recreation and leisure preference information, gathered using questions from the Preferences for Everyday Living Inventory, or PELI for short, interview. The PELI is a questionnaire that assesses the importance of preferences by asking residents to rate various preferences from very important to not important at all. The cards are then placed on a resident's wheelchair, walker, or on their door as a way to communicate important preferences throughout a community. PAL cards were created by collaborating with 4 local nursing home providers and tested with Miami gerontology undergraduate and graduate students. Here's what a PAL card looks like. The front of each PAL card includes the individual's name, the date it was created, and a short biography. The back of the card is personalized to highlight the PELI recreation and leisure preference items that were reported as very important during the interview. The sections on the back are completely customizable and will vary depending on the unique interests of each resident. Here we have some images of PAL cards in action. On the left, you can see a PAL card fastened to a resident's walker for easy access, and on the right, a provider engaging in conversation with a resident using their PAL card. As for our methods, in March of this year, 11 nursing home providers in Tennessee were recruited to create 15 to 20 PAL cards for residents in their community. However, given the impact of COVID, our goals had to shift, and we told providers to choose a reasonable goal for a number of cards they could complete. Monthly telephone interviews from March to August were used to monitor progress and give providers the space to reflect on and share their PAL card implementation. These telephone calls were recorded, transcribed, and checked for accuracy prior to thematic analysis. Initially, our intention was to understand the overall barriers and facilitators to implementing PAL cards, but because of the pandemic, we thought it would be especially valuable and relevant to better understand how COVID specifically impacted the intervention, so that was the scope of our data analysis. After our analysis, we uncovered 4 major themes of pandemic-related barriers and facilitators to PAL card implementation. The first theme we named upheaval. This theme is defined as a fundamental shift or disruption to the organization's typical operations. Examples include no longer allowing interns or volunteers and having to halt admissions. Additionally, to present our findings, we pulled quotes from each major theme. To illustrate upheaval, the quote reads, "We can't have any volunteers, we can't have any family members unless it's for end of life. That's taking down a lot of extra hands and staff." Our second theme is resident burden. This theme encompasses the physical and socio-emotional impact on residents, such as isolation and loneliness. The quote to illustrate this theme is, "It was truly an eye-opener to see the difference with them just not being able to dine together, not being able to have a meal with the people they're used to. That was their routine, and we take that as something kind of small and we didn't think of it too much, but that has truly impacted their whole world." Our third theme is provider burden, which is defined as the increased demands placed on providers and its associated burden and/or exhaustion. Examples include increased workload and mental exhaustion. This is exemplified by the quote that reads, "I got in my car and saw 4 families standing in front of windows. I cried because it looked to me like I was observing a human zoo and that there they were, the exhibit behind the glass. It was just so heartbreaking." Our fourth and final theme is collaboration. We defined collaboration as new or unexpected ways to implement PAL cards within COVID restrictions, such as finding creative ways to engage residents and increased family involvement. This is demonstrated by the quote, "Following COVID, I did talk to some family members who just like to talk in general, and then others who wanted to talk more so because of COVID. I got to hear things that I might not have ever heard from the resident." On to our discussion. We found providers struggled to implement PAL cards in their community when pandemic-related responsibilities were prioritized. COVID changes and protocols had to take precedence, which tended to push PAL cards to the back burner. However, it was encouraging to hear many providers express an interest in PAL cards and a desire to keep using them once everything with COVID settled down. Lastly, for providers who were successful in continuing to implement PAL cards, it was thanks to staff from other disciplines really stepping up and contributing their time to diffuse the responsibility. We have two implications for practice. First, virtual coaching is something that should continue to be invested in, especially during the pandemic since there are barriers to actually getting in communities and meeting face-to-face. But beyond the present-day circumstances, virtual coaching is incredibly valuable for external experts to assist in community interventions. Secondly, using and honoring preference information is more important now than ever before. Because residents are constantly being moved around and with the overall upheaval COVID is causing, PAL cards can be a stabilizing tool for staff to use in the midst of other changing circumstances. Thank you so much for watching. For more information, you can contact me directly or visit preferencebasedliving.com to learn more about this research.